Well, Don, going for 7 in a row. At the start of the season, did you really believe you'd be in this position?
Oh, well, you don't really plan for anything at the start of the season like we're at the moment. Look, we're in good form at the moment, which is good. Pleasing on the weekend, we found a way after a pretty poor second quarter. So, but as I keep saying, we just take each week as it comes, and another opportunity back at the G this week to play another side that's got some real strong credentials and has played some good footy throughout the year.
How hesitant are you to change the winning side?
Well, it's not so much about changing a winning side. I mean, we're looking at the pleasing part is that our side's been really even throughout the year, and players were finding their consistency and levels both in games and between games has been really solid. So, the side really picks itself in a lot of ways. We're fortunate we've got some real pressure from underneath, which is making sure that guys are really keen to keep performing because they want to stay part of the team.
Is it pleasing to see blokes that wouldn't have been solidified in the first 18 sort of come in and, like, you got the Crouchers, the Lions, they're sort of performing at a pretty high level at the moment?
Oh, look, it's great to see them performing from an individual viewpoint, but also playing their role for the team, which is the priority we place on them coming in. It's not about possessions best on grounds. It's about just playing the role we expect of them in the side, and those guys have done that, and they get rewarded with selection. It's pretty simply how it works.
What do they gain from playing at the MCG? It's obviously where you want to be at the end of the season, but can you measure it or anything like that?
I think everyone loves playing at the G. As I said last week, it's the home of footy, and it's where the big games are played at. So it's an opportunity to not only enjoy the experience of playing at the G, but to get used to the ground. It is slightly different, as all grounds are. So, and we learn a few things from the weekend's game, which going back to this Sunday gives us a chance to practice some of those things and see if we can do it a bit better.
So, Don, what were they?
Oh, it's probably, I'm not going to go into the specifics really, Andrew, but there's some areas there which we felt with our ball use and probably our team defence are the main two areas. Some tweaks in there that we think we can make, which will help us, on both sides of the ball.
Any danger of complacency? You won 6 games on the trot doing whatever. Was that a danger that you guys face, or was it the fact you've got so many guys underneath putting pressure on guys and guards against that?
I think probably the pressure for spots is significant enough to keep guys playing the level. I also think the group's in a good space towards. We don't look backwards. We keep looking forwards. So this game won't be a reflection on the games we won in the past, apart from the belief and confidence we take into it. So we'll prepare, we'll plan, we'll get ready to play exactly how we want to play. Does that guarantee us the result? No, it doesn't, but it gives us the best chance of competing and performing on the day.
I guess you've got that top 4 carrot to chase as well.
Well, we're a bit of one step at a time. I mean, I know there's a lot of talk out there about that, but reality for us is we've won 10 games and we've got more games to win before we even consolidate a spot in the final. So we're not looking very far ahead at all. We're looking at Carlton this Sunday.
Tom, giving up 8 goals in a quarter can be pretty dangerous most of the time. Your response was really good. How big a concern is that to try and be able to stop that momentum if it occurs in games?
Yeah, well, again, that's something we're able to review this week and talk to the players about. I mean, look, I think we contributed a little bit to our own downfall in that quarter with some poor turnovers. And that said, Melbourne came and played a really solid brand of footy and put some real pressure on our guys and clearly won the contest in that quarter. So there's some areas there we need to tidy up on. As you said, the pleasing part was we came out after half-time and got back to playing the style of footy and the way we wanted to play, and eventually got the game back in our favour.
Don, how do you rate Carlton?
I think they're a really strong team. The results of recent haven't been as good as they were, say, earlier in the year, but they're well coached. They have a clear plan as to how they want to play, and they're playing good high pressure footy. So history again that keeps repeating itself in terms of this industry. Is there's no easy games, no light games. This is another strong contest, and we'll expect nothing less than that on Sunday.
Sam Kerridge and obviously Matty Wright were in Adelaide last year. Does their intel help Carlton at all this week, given the Crows have got a new coach and a new style?
I wouldn't expect it would be. I mean, I think players change clubs all the time. They probably retain some information, but might be information on the list. But certainly, neither of those 2 guys were here last year when I was coaching. So I think from a style of play viewpoint, there'll be very little intel.
And you're the same with Troy Menzel. You're obviously not playing AFL yet, but do you tap into his knowledge of the Blues at all?
Oh, look, we might ask him a bit about some of their players on the way through, but again, new coach this year, so style of play is different. And often you'll see with the style of play change or a new coach come in, there's a significant shift in terms of how some guys perform because they might be playing different roles.
How is Troy with his concussion?
Yeah, look, he's. We'll wait and see how he comes up later in the week as to whether he's available this week. Now, as has been identified, it's concussions now are an issue within the industry. We're taking a really cautious approach, and most clubs are the same, to make sure that players are right to go before we return to play.
Well, on that, where's Sam Shaw, and how concerning is it for him?
Well, Sam's getting towards the end of a process to return to play, and we're hopeful that's within the next 1 to 2 weeks. So he's undergoing some further tests to basically confirm that he's ready to go. He's feeling a lot better. He's training regularly. So again, we remain really hopeful that in a couple of weeks' time we'll get him back out and playing. So yeah, it's a positive thing for Sam, which is good.
So it's fair to say he won't play this week?
Sam?
Yeah.
No, Sam won't play this week.
Okay. How concerning long term for him, given the fact he's missed almost 3 months of footy now?
Yeah, we've sort of been building him back from a training viewpoint. So hopefully, when he gets the tick off from the medicos to return to play and add the contact component from a fitness viewpoint, we're comfortable. He won't have match fitness, but he'll be ready to play and not at risk of other injuries. So how quickly we can get him back out there, we'll wait and see. But first things first for him is to get that medical sign off, get himself back, and start doing some competitive work to return to play.
So you certainly hope he'll see out the season?
Oh yeah, that's the positive signs at the moment. So
The other bloke coming off the injury list, it seems, Curtly Hampton this week. How do you see his role going forward for the rest of the year?
yeah, well look, it's great to have Curtly back and available this week. I know he's really excited about returning to play. It's been a pretty frustrating year for him through a series of little injuries and followed by an operation. So he's really had a little mini pre-season to get himself back to play this week. With 8 weeks to go in the season, it's important he gets back, gets some continuity of training and playing, and we'll see what happens for the rest of the year. But it's an important period for him. But also a really exciting period as he gets to start to play regular footy, hopefully.
I know you're 1 week at a time. It's one of those seasons where it's so even at the top if you're not totally on your guard, and any complacency steeps in it all could cost you a higher rung on the ladder.
I think that's a really good summation of where it sits. If you look at the top 8, I mean, I don't look at it in detail, the ladder, but from what I can gather, there's a fair bit of swings and merry-go-rounds happening at the moment with sides who, based on a result, could go from 2nd to 6th or 7th. So, again, take nothing for granted. We just focus on getting wins, and this week is another chance to get another win.
Jared Ryan said on Monday that you sort of asked the players what was going on and how they could improve in the second half. Is that something that you regularly do, let them try and work it out for themselves?
Oh, look, I think that's something which every coach would do. Is they're a great resource. The players, they're out there experiencing it, and often they have some really good intel and insight into how the game's being played. It also confirms for, if you like, the coaching group and the playing group to make sure we're on the same page. And so, look, they were right on the mark at half-time last week in terms of understanding how the game was being played, which areas we weren't performing well in, and then it's about what are we going to do about it. And as I said, the start of the third quarter suggested they had some resolve to actually change the way the game was being played.
Is that good feedback, knowing that the learning that you've provided them is on song, and is there much more to do for finals footy at the end of the year?
Well, it's all part of the process and the journey. I mean, it's every game throws up a different situation, a different challenge, and our ability, whether it be from a coaching or a playing viewpoint, to respond to those challenges and try and affect some change in game is always difficult. So to be able to engage the players in that process, I think makes it easier to get the change we were looking for.
Is it your leaders that drive that sort of chat at halftime?
Yeah, a combination of our leaders and some of our senior players. They understand their role within the team is not only to play well and play well consistently, but it's to help the team perform. And that's the role of leaders, and that's what we expect them to do.
You mentioned before, like at the start of the season, it was impossible to look ahead and predict that you'd win 6 games in a row or whatever. But are any of your sort of expectations about how you thought it might play, or any of your expectations sort of being exceeded at this point in the season?
No, I said at the start we aimed to want to play finals. That was based on our performance last year where we played finals. But we wanted to aim to get better, and that's still the same focus. I mean, even the meetings we have today is about, okay, this is what we're doing well, but how do we get better? How do we keep improving? Whether it be in our training, our recovery methods, our playing, our style, facets of our game. That's what our focus is on. And history tells me if you continue to improve, you're a chance of going forward. If you stop, then sides will go past you pretty quickly.
And so are you seeing that week by week from the playing group, just with little things around the club, that that continual improvement?
Yeah, well, look, I think we see bits, but it's not all improvement. At times we step backwards, but that's life. That's part of that's elite sport. You don't always have it all your own way. But what it does provide is an opportunity to learn. So often the reflection has to be that way based. You think about, well, what do we get thrown and how do we adjust? How do we adapt? Do we do it right? How do we do it better? Then we dust off and go again.
Don, is the club in talks with Tyrone Vickers about being a possible replacement if Josh Jenkins goes?
No, it's news to me. Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Sloaney at the top of the Coaches Association, is it a surprise to you at all?
Oh no, I think it's great recognition from the coaches for sort of the season that Rory's had. Yeah, he's been a fantastic player for us this year, and he's contributed in a lot of different ways. So that's good recognition for him. I know, even talking to him this morning, he's still looking for more. He's a professional, and that's how he goes about it. So, but it's a good recognition for the season he's had.